Welcome back to Junction 119. This is Kellan.
This is Casen.
And I got to say, Casen, I think all of us are guilty of believing in some form of conspiracy theory. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, everybody is some sort of conspiracy nut to some degree.
And I'm not talking about full blown conspiracy theorists. I mean, all of us have at least one to two that we can totally, absolutely pinpoint and say, yeah, I can believe that one. I can tell you for a fact, my friend, that one of mine for the longest time has been the NBA draft lottery is 100% rigged.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the frozen envelope days of Patrick Ewing to the Knicks, and all the way up to this week's Dallas fan, I guess, retribution or reparations, whatever you want to call it. Uh, Dallas Mavericks got the number one pick in the draft lottery, despite having like the worst odds or something, like the second worst odds, something like that.
And we kind of buried the lead. We're just diving right into the news because we're just going down news stories today. We're gonna close the show by talking about the Superman trailer, which came out today. It's Wednesday, but we had to lead off with this because to say that we're recording this on a Wednesday, to say that Tuesday night when that happened, I wasn't surprised, but I'm not one of these people, my friend, who thinks that it's a situation to where like the commissioner discussed it with Nico Harrison all those months ago when the Luka trade happened. I don't think that happened. I think that happened on its own, and then Silver and those guys have their internal conversations of who does it make sense to get the number one overall pick because they feel bad for the fan base or the situation. I think that's how they kind of arrived to something like that. Like, I can believe that something like that happened. I don't
I
think it's totally random.
what I will say though too is there also is a history of teams that trade away superstars getting the first overall pick.
There
Because so
is.
I saw this graphic going around that was saying, you know, New Orleans when they traded Chris Paul, they got the number one overall pick, and then when they traded Anthony Davis, they got the number one overall pick, which became Zion, and then so it's like there is sort of a history of weirdly, shockingly, teams that trade superstars get get a number one pick to get a new generational talent to replace them.
Now, sometimes it's not even just that. It's what storyline makes the same. You go back to the Bulls getting Derrick Rose, of course. You go to the Chicago Kid, LeBron's arrival, of course, and then LeBron's initial departure. And it's like, okay, I mean, for a few years in a row there, the Cavs got like the number one overall pick in what, like two or three consecutive years or something. One of them,
Yeah,
one of
I
them
think it
was
was
Kyrie.
two.
One of them was like Wiggins, right?
Well, it was I know no, I don't think Kyrie was one because I think he fell because he got injured at Duke.
Mm,
It was Anthony Bennett.
mm.
They I think Anthony Bennett and Kyrie were the same draft. I could be wrong in that. Um,
First overall by the Cavaliers in 2011, Kyrie. Yep.
yeah, no. Okay, that's right. It was Kyrie, and then it was Tristan Thompson. I think was four.
Yep.
That's something of. I knew they were the same one. I couldn't remember which one was first.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. And then it was Kyrie at one, and then so they had one or they had three number ones. I think in like 5 years is I think what
Mm.
that was because it was 11, 13, and 14.
Now, I'm not a Mavs fan or a Mavs hater of any kind. We've done our fair share of agreeing that they honestly like that we feel bad for their fans, but now they're realistically in a situation to where I even talked to some friends today. I said if I'm the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks, I am calling up the Mavs like today potentially of like, hey, is there any avenue to where a trade could happen? I mean, there's a lot of different ways this could go. Cooper Flag, who is going to be the number one overall pick, going to their already existing roster is nasty enough. If there's a universe in which you could flip him for Giannis or something, one way or another, the Mavs are going to be rewarded for their GM's arguably bad decision making. But if this turns out that they're better than they ever were with Luca, then I'm going to be sitting here like, all right, well, 40 chess player Nico Harrison.
That is actually very interesting, and I never even really thought about that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, because there was the joke of like people were already saying like, what if Nico just doesn't take Cooper Flag? And it's like,
They'll
but I
burn
didn't.
the
I
arena
never
to the
really thought
ground.
about.
Uh,
I never even thought about him flipping it for somebody like Giannis, who I
Oh
think
yeah.
everybody's under the assumption that Giannis is on the move because I think he's frustrated, everybody's frustrated, and it is just kind of time for the Bucks to sort of
But
rebuild.
how scary is that in your mind of that
Yeah,
lineup if they get
I
yeah,
mean,
like
you have
that's wild.
Giannis with Anthony Davis. I think Porzingis is still there, right? I,
Porzingis, well, Chris Apps
uh,
is in Boston.
oh, that's right, he got moved. I
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember. And then Kyrie whenever he comes back.
And AD will constantly be injured probably, but still,
Yes.
you
So
know,
it would be a move that's just kind of like turning them into the Bucks of the West, but like it could work out. I mean, it
it's still
could.
I would say it's still smarter to just take Cooper Flag and see what you have, and build around him because you still need to go younger with your young core. But I find it fascinating in that if the NBA draft like the NBA does a really poor job of looking not rigged. I'll just put it that way. This right here is also the detriment of draft lotteries. I was looking at some mock drafts today. It really is unfortunate for franchises like, the Washington Wizards, my Bulls, quite frankly. Uh, there's 76ers are top three, but even the Spurs getting number two. I mean, it's just it that's the downside of a draft lottery, right? Especially at a time when all of these teams who, let's be real, are kind of tanking can't even like pay off with the tanking. So maybe this is the master plan of the NBA at work. This is why you don't tank.
Yeah.
So, wanted to move on and talk about the NBA playoffs because we have to talk about it. Your Cavaliers and kind of by extension, friend of the show, Matt's Cavaliers, and quite frankly, a lot of friends of the show's Cavaliers are eliminated in 5 games by the Indiana Pacers in a series in which, like, essentially was 4 Indiana blowouts and one Cavs blowout sprinkled in there. So, what's going through your head? What are your thoughts? You've been pretty silent about it over the last day or so.
Yeah, I mean, well, I said last show that they were cooked
You did
because
say
I
that.
mean, I
You declared it
I
then.
I thought maybe when they came back and they won and they won uh game three, that they had a chance, but I because like when everybody came back and I thought it's just yeah, I mean it's exactly what I feared. I mean they just kind of fell down 2-0 when they shouldn't have, and with the state of with everybody's health situation, there just wasn't the ability to come back. And I also think that there is something to be said, which there's a lot of conversations going on in Cleveland media today about this, and it's the same problem that they've had over and over again of they lack toughness, and it's they lack the willingness to get through series like that. And
Yeah.
even then, I even if they had made it past the Pacers, I don't think they would have gotten past the Knicks if it theoretically is the Knicks, you know? I
I
mean,
I I tend to agree because
I mean they
per
I think the only team they could have beaten would be Boston because Boston is also kind of relatively soft.
I
It's the teams like the Pacers and the Knicks who are
right.
conditioned and tough and willing to grind you down.
I think let's be real. There's a lot of parity in the NBA right now over the last 6 years. We've had a different champion all of those years. And while things are pretty wide open, but one consistency is that it really does seem like there's some separation now between the regular season NBA and the NBA playoffs. The toughness, the tough teams are able to flip that switch and say, okay, the assassin's mentality, and they can, guys like Halliburton can just kind of say, okay, put up numbers you've never seen. It's now playoff time. The Cavs don't really have that. It's like they have that same kind of met urgency. Like how many times this year did we see the Cavs like come back late in games and there's toughness there, but it's a little different when you've got to show the giddy up from the opening tip. You know what I mean? And I really think that the last couple of years, the Cavaliers have really shown a lack of being able to do that. And I look at a series like this. I think if the Cavs were fully healthy, they might win this series. Like we got to give a little bit of respect to Indiana here. I mean, I think if the Cavs win, they probably the Cavs are fully healthy, no problems. They probably do win this series, but it takes all seven. I really believe that. Like because that's just how tough the Pacers are. And then I'm with you. I don't know if they beat the Knicks just because there's just that grittiness in that, and there's that. Yeah, they have stars, but not necessarily like it's not all just one person kind of leading, carrying a team crept past the finish line. And we've seen a lot more cohesive team NBA play in that regard over the last like few seasons. So of course
Yeah.
everyone's got superstars, but it's not just one superstar being able to will it all the way through now. So um the talk about the Cavaliers today in Cleveland media really reminds me of the post 2009 Pittsburgh Penguins. And bear with me here, in that there seemingly is all of the talent on the roster to win another championship, and yet it keeps going wrong, and no one can really figure out why. And everyone has 50 different theories of what would help the team, and no one's necessarily right or wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've heard everything from, oh, they need another player like this, like, oh, the Cavs need a player like Draymond. Oh, they need you know what I mean? I've heard all of these takes today that are very different across radio and TikTok and all these other places. And I'm like, you're not all necessarily right or wrong here. I just feel like they just, whatever the it mentality is in the playoffs, they don't have it. And Donovan Mitchell basically said that last night. I hope one thing we carry now is the embarrassment, because there's no reason why we should have gotten gentlemen swept after sweeping the Heat. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of frustration in the city of Cleveland because, I mean, we could talk ad nauseum about the situation with the Browns, but it's just between the Browns and then the guards on being underwhelming. The Cavs were all we had to hang our hats on,
Well, the
and
Cavs and guards are very comparable. They make the
yeah,
postseason and look good every year, and they just don't have what it takes to
yeah,
win a championship. And that's its own level of kind of depressing. You know what I mean? So I feel for the city of Cleveland. Let's be real. I'm regionally a closer resident than you right now. So the greater Northeast Ohio
yeah.
area. So for what it's worth, I really would have been pulling for that. That being said, I want to shift to the other side of the East because an injury took place 2 nights ago. Was it 2 nights ago now?
I think so.
That yes, I believe it was Monday evening. Jason Tatum also Jason Tatum popped an Achilles, which everyone thought that's what it was. Him going out in a wheelchair, it just kind of felt like one of those monumental moments that completely changes the landscape of a team in the NBA. You know what I mean? Because contracts come up. He's probably going to miss all of next year. At earliest, the year after, he'll be back. It completely messes with it. I mean, it feels like the D Rose injury. Nothing was ever the same after that. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Jason Tatum. I'm just saying
I
that guys make moves based on the team and the league, and that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen here.
And honestly, speaking of trades, I mean, we'll get to the injury itself, but thinking about that, I that could be a team that might want to trade with Dallas if
Mm-hmm.
there's stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
you think of some kind of package involving picks and Jaylen Brown and anybody else that Dallas wants to then pair with Tatum when he gets back could be interesting.
I agree. I
But
agree. Uh,
uh,
as for that, I mean, it's more than likely, not writing them off yet. It's more than likely the Knicks are going to close that series out. By the time this show's out, we will know. But if that does happen, my goodness, how crazy would a Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference Finals look?
That would be very, very, very insane. Because the TV execs are just crying at the thought of like Oklahoma City, Indianapolis as the finals cities. Like they're like the worst viewed finals in the history of the NBA.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're just gonna be like these two markets, and then they're just sitting there like, okay. New York City is still on the docket, and it's let's be real, it's a ravenous New York City. I mean, it was pointed out to me a couple weeks ago. It's cool to see the Knicks good at this time of year because the Knicks have obviously been bad most of our lives. But New York as a city has not won a championship since what, the second Eli Super Bowl? Like
Was that
as a,
after the Rangers?
Rangers never won it. So
I thought
No, Rangers made it to the Cup final with Lundqvist and got gentlemen swept by the Kings. Rangers have not
Okay.
won it since 1994. So
Okay.
no, so no, no, there has not been a championship in New York City to my knowledge since that. But that's talk. We're talking
Yeah,
like
because
we're
that was after the last Yankees win.
correct. The Yankees haven't won
So
since
yeah,
'09.
I don't think there. Yeah, yeah. That is sort of the interesting thing is the city of New York having so many teams has been very unsuccessful.
2011 Giants is the last one confirmed. And think about it, the Yankees hadn't even been back to the World Series until this past year. So all of those teams, and can't do it. Now the Mets have played in the World Series, lost to the no that they didn't make it to the World Series. They lost to the Cubs in the NLCS. So there you go. I mean, you got the Knicks here with an actual fighting chance to at least make it to the finals. And to be honest, to see that would be a lot of fun, I think. That being said, I did have someone in my circle today, Casen, say, as of that injury and as of last night with Cavs and all that stuff happening, which I don't know how you put it this way or whatever, has guaranteed that the West is probably going to win another title. Thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Of which I look, I will say, between it's probably going to be Timberwolves and Oklahoma City. So a Timberwolves Oklahoma City Thunder like Western Conference Finals. I I mean
I still think it
I
could be the
would
Nuggets personally, but
it could be,
you're just
but
a Nuggets hater. That's why you won't
I
say it.
am I am.
It's probably going to be OKC, but still,
I mean I would love to see the Wolves in the finals. That'd be awesome. I mean,
man, Anthony Edwards in the
that's almost worse.
that would be nuts.
Timberwolves Pacers, like that would be worse.
That would be kind of crazy, actually. But that would be fascinating NBA final. I'd be like, you talk about
Yeah.
two gritty teams,
I mean,
lower seeded teams.
I would
Yeah,
pay so much money to see Ant and Halliburton go at it for
that's what
seven
I mean.
games.
Like that could go nuts. Like that could.
I
I
mean,
would like.
Halliburton's dad in the front row.
I mean, it could be absolutely insane. But what is cool is that there's cool personalities left on all the teams that are left. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
um, what way are you leaning now? If you had to pick, I mean, we don't really predict the NBA finals. We just kind of do it as we thought. What realistically do you think is going to happen?
Uh, all right. So I mean, if we keep going, so I'll say the Knicks get it done because they have a couple chances to do it.
Yeah,
The Even if the Celtics win one more game, I don't. I mean, they don't. I don't think they can win three straight games without Jason Tatum. And so I think the Knicks can get it done. And then on the other side, I have to say the Thunder are going to beat the Nuggets, and then obviously you think the T Wolves are getting that done. So Timberwolves Thunder on the other side. Um,
I think that series goes at least six. Personally,
yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to probably say I like the Thunder in that series. Just because I think
me
that
too.
they're
I mean, I'm
they're a more well-rounded roster. Um,
I think the winner of Thunder Nuggets makes it to the finals, and I think that's a safe bet.
yeah, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good decision. Yeah, that's good.
And I think if I'm sitting here right now, I mean, I honestly don't know. I think what you just said could be realistic. I'd honestly, right now, I'm probably leaning more Knicks. So you could be OKC and New York. That would be quite an interesting finals. But I do think another thing is it needs to be said here. I mean, I already think that Sam Presti is probably a Hall of Famer, like easily,
Hmm.
with just how he's done. But like you look at the job he's done between the old OKC Thunder and now this new group. I mean, you talk about a fantastic GM in the NBA. Like,
What
I think.
what I would say is the Oklahoma City Thunder should put the GM of the Los Angeles Clippers into their Hall of Fame
Mm,
for for all the picks that they got for that Paul George trade
of
like
course.
5 years ago that they still have picks from.
Yep.
Like
That's
that is
it's
insane.
send them ring season. It was like when Giancarlo Stanton ended up with the Yankees, and it's like, okay, if the Yankees win a World Series, are they sending one to owner of the Marlins, Derek Jeter? Yeah, they will, because why wouldn't they? I mean, of course you do. So, interesting stuff. Before we move on, just to keep us going here, what do you think the realistic repercussions are for Jason Tatum? I mean, I makes you sick. I like Jason Tatum, so
Yeah, I mean it's tough. Uh, I mean it's tough because I know I mean I've enjoyed making fun of him for some of the just like cheesy stuff he does but it's tough when you see a guy like that go down with something that bad. Especially going down with an Achilles like in the playoffs means that you're out the whole next season too,
yeah,
and that's going to be a pretty significant blow to the Celtics team,
he is kind of
which
goofy and cringy
at
too, isn't he? Sometimes.
at this crossroads is significant for Boston. So I would say this is definitely not a great time to be a Celtics fan, just because next year could get rough. But that might be sort of by design. I mean, get rid of some people that with on expensive contracts, tank for a year, kind of reset, maybe get somebody younger.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll see.
I will also say that if something, I really hope this goes in a way in which he comes back good and it's all good. They at least still got the one title out of it. You know, they still have
They
last year.
did. I mean, they did. I
It would
mean,
be
they
way
did.
worse if they couldn't have gotten a title out of this core, but they already got
Yeah,
it. So,
yeah. They
um,
did get it, and so that's. I mean, obviously, I think you'd want more, but I think in this era of the NBA, it's going to be tough for like
oh,
a core
extremely.
group to repeat. I mean, it's it. I think just with the way that things are going right now, I don't think we'll have a Cavs Warriors four in a row ever again.
Mm.
Like because it's
It,
just that was so random and so
it also speaks to the greatness
bizarre how
of
that
Steph
worked out.
Curry and LeBron and
Yeah.
all those guys. Like it
Yeah,
just,
that was the perfect storm
yeah,
of of elite Hall of Fame superstars on one team not moving for a long time, and then also
with
KD
one
going
goal in
there.
mind. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly, exactly.
so
And
yeah.
now the talent's more spread out across the league.
It is, and overall, that's good for the league, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I can both bash the league with the whole lottery while also praising it for the last 5 years of parity of like I actually don't know who's going to win the championship. It would come playoff time, like and that's good. That's a good thing
Hmm.
ultimately for sport. Shifting to baseball because I got to talk about this. Got to talk about my Pittsburgh Pirates because
Yeah.
two shows ago we had our baseball show with good friend of the show James, and he actually made the comment, if you recall, Casen, that it would be interesting if Don Kelly, the bench coach, former Tiger and Pittsburgh native and all around baseball guy, got a chance to actually be the manager of the Pirates. Well, last Thursday, a week ago, by the time you hear this show, the Pirates let go Derrick Shelton. They fired him and replaced and immediately said Don Kelly is now the manager, straight up. Um, that is what happened. Okay, the Pirates really aren't much different since that time. They won the series over the weekend with the Braves. They're now down 2 games out of 3 to the Mets. The Mets are really good. It is what it is. Um, did I assume you didn't really have any particularly reaction to it at all, other than oh that happened and it just
I mean, I just found the timing interesting because it definitely felt like there was a narrative surrounding um the team. I don't know why, but it just felt like there was this huge increased bubbling up tension from the fan base that particular week, and it just kind of got to be very untenable. And it was like several days in a row of very bad press for Bob Nutting, and it just felt like a decision had to be made. Um,
they got swept
and
twice in a
so
row.
I
And
don't
it was like,
yeah, I
all
don't
right.
think I wasn't surprised um that it happened. I just thought it was interesting that we were talking about that potentially happening, and it happened so soon after that.
I agree, and like almost like we know what we're talking about sometimes on this show,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
folks we bring on do. I saw a stat today, which is kind of unrelated, kind of related, that through the last 19 games or whatever it's been, the Pirates are have succeeded in like a franchise worst, like 4 runs or less in all of those games, which like is amazing when you really think about it. And I just saw like a beat writer, someone say, "Congratulations to Ben Sherrington, Derrick Shelton, Bob Nutting, all of you. You've put together the worst Pirates team in franchise history in Bob Nutting's 18th year owning the team." I can tell you that the narrative in Pittsburgh really was like, okay, cool, that's a step in the right direction. But basically, everyone said Ben Sherrington should be fired too, and firing the GM at this point in the season is kind of whatever, because you still need someone to go through the draft, to go through the building process of the next season. The thing is, as a fan, I don't even want Ben Sherrington to do the next draft in June. I like he's been the GM for 6 years, and literally we are worse than we were than when he took over. And he actually did say something that I think I sent to you and a few other people, where he bold faced said during that whole thing of like it was time for a change. Ultimately, I'm the one most responsible. My immediate follow up question would have been, okay, well then why are you still sitting here talking to us as the GM? Can you answer that question? And no one really directly asked that question in the room, but everyone on the radio on 93.7 The Fan would have said, okay, well then you literally just said, okay, well then you should be fired too then. It's, if this it back to what you said on that show, which I've replayed personally, Casen, a few times. It's on you to make a change, then, Bob. And it's like, okay, it's a start in the right direction. You need to kind of tear it all down again. And while we're at it, spend money. I've come down to this: the Pirates will not contend while Bob Nutting is the owner, and I've come to officially declare that this year. I've seen them get close. I've seen them have other things, but like when he is saying things to the media, I do think genuinely that there is part of him that does care about the success of the team, but not at the expense of the bottom line. And for whatever reason, he can't get that past his level of thinking when it's like, dude, I don't know why you want your overall legacy as a human being to be the most hated guy in the history of Pittsburgh. I really don't get that. I don't
Yeah.
understand being obscenely rich and having that obscene amounts of money to where you're either completely in the clouds and you tune it all out and you filter it all out of your space, or it's like, dude, do you realize that you will go down in history as like an absolute scumbag? And maybe he just doesn't care. It's it's
Yeah,
a it's a whole part of sports ownership that I just will never understand.
I don't get it either because I mean I know I've said it here before. It's like, all right, you've owned the team for what do you say, 18 years?
18 years.
I at this point you could probably he can sell the team tomorrow and probably make a $3 billion profit. Why? Why do you still own the team, Bob? Like if
I don't
you
get it.
own if you own the team because you actually want to be a sports owner and win something, you're doing a bang up job at it. If you own the team because it's an investment and you're trying to turn a profit, then sell the team and make $3 billion. Like
And
I
and,
don't why.
and honestly, make $3 billion, increase your personal wealth by like 2 or 3 billion more, wipe your hands of it and walk away. Because what's
Exactly.
worth this? Like, are you like what is worth this?
Like this is my question
I don't get it.
to people like that, to
And it's
Jimmy
not just him.
Haslam.
It's not just him.
It, it, it's
Yeah,
it's everybody.
yeah.
It's all the terrible these terrible billionaire sports owners that just have no idea how to run an organization. It's like, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
It's like you have this team that you don't know how to own when you could just sell it and make money and like
Meanwhile,
ride off into the sunset.
you got, and I got to say his name too. Meanwhile, you got David Rubenstein of the O's, who is in the clubhouse talking to the guys, saying, "Hey, gonna do everything I can to help you guys win. Great job today, and all this stuff. He cares. He's involved and everything." I'm thinking to myself, like, it's one thing if you care and show that, like, and you don't win. At least I know you care and you're doing everything you can. It's hard to win. Nutting has never done anything even like that. You know what I mean? That clip I sent you guys. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, that's insane to me. There's never even been
Yeah,
that.
no, 100%. I
And
mean, you
great,
have guys like Steve
yeah,
Cohen, You have guys like Josh Harris, who
Yeah.
just bought the Commanders. Like those dudes who are actively involved
Hey,
and willing to do whatever it takes to win.
different kind of philosophy, but hey, greatest owners, some of the greatest owners in the history of global sports, Rob McElhaney and Ryan Reynolds. I'm sorry, they are. Those dudes came right in, are not billionaires, they're millionaires. Came in, pulled their stuff together, and you talk about one of the greatest sports stories of all time simply because they care. You know what I mean? And look what has happened, you know, to a place that like truly like all odds against them, right? So with Wrexham AFC, hats off, guys, back to back to back. But don't. So in other words, Casen, don't you tell me it's not. Don't you tell me it's impossible. Spend a bit of money, get the right people in there, and let's put a contending team together. But we're on the same page with this. It's
Mhm.
sometimes it's just rough being a sports fan, especially when the sports don't seem to love you back.
I
So
mean, it's also of like there's a difference too of like Bob Nutting sucks as an owner and is cheap, but like the Dolans are also cheap, but like they somehow also are able to run like a competent organization,
yeah,
which is weird. Like the
they have
Guardians
good.
are probably like the most stable franchise in the history of the city
Yeah,
because they've never really they haven't been terrible for a long time. They've always been like average and mediocre. But then and you have the Reds, but
they've been
it's just
fringe. I mean, the Guardians franchise has been fringe playoff contenders most of our lives, if not just an
yeah.
outright playoff team. And there's no reason why small market teams shouldn't win. You know what I mean? I've watched all these other small market teams with frankly, if not less cheap ownership, more competent ownership in putting the right people in charge, make it happen. And I'm just like, how on earth? You don't tell me it can't be done here. I'm not asking for a World Series tomorrow. I am asking for a team that can at least go to the postseason. Give me something to root for in October besides the mediocre Steelers now. So whatever. Anyway, thank you for humoring me. Listen, I hope Derrick Shelton lands on
Yeah.
his feet. It is what it is. I want to see what Don Kelly can do. A lot of people in Pittsburgh already like the guy. He's a Pittsburgh native. I didn't even know that. So yet another incredible baseball prediction happens via James Nahikian. So there you go.
Hmm.
Um, we got to switch to another baseball story though, and that's that the non-lifetime ban exoneration of Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and I went down the list today, Case, and I found an article via the Athletic. It's like the entire Black Sox guys too, and like three other people. Like those are the two biggest names, but it's like all those Black Sox scandal guys from 1919. They all are now basically all it means is they can be acknowledged. They're not considered quote unquote banned forever in MLB anymore. Um, thoughts on any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about it. Pete Rose, it definitely. I think we've talked about, the sort of ban from the Hall of Fame being a little dumb. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can't really tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, but he was a scumbag and like a
Yeah,
terrible human being. So like,
he
it is
did,
what it is.
and he did
But
zero favors for himself building any rapport with baseball while he was still alive, and we said that when he passed away. Um, I'm not going to do any more piling on of folks who have passed away, but do I think that something of like a posthumous induction into the hall should happen? Uh, yes. I mean, and I made the argument about the steroid era guys too, because ultimately, again, if you're asking, can you tell the story of baseball without them? Well, you can't without them either, right? So I kind of look at it like this. Maybe this isn't the best comparison to make, but at a time when a lot of people were cheating in the game, they were still far and away like the best guys. And I mean, like Sammy Sosa, like Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, like all those guys, they were still the best. Even then.
yeah, I mean,
It's like
I
and
mean,
I compared it to Lance
if
Armstrong.
everybody is cheating and you're the best cheater, then you still deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Does it again? Does it make you like maybe the best human being? That's debatable, but that is a conversation worth having. And I do think baseball puts itself at a solid place to be able to have that conversation again without it being totally shut down, which
Yeah, I mean. I think the yeah, I mean you need to be able to honor guys like Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, like all those guys need to be able to be honored in the way that they should.
Yeah. And
I mean,
I
if you
think
want to put an asterisk on it in the hole and have it be, even though they were they were doping, they still did all that. Like,
I think you definitely asterisk their records. I think that's fair. But for them to not be in the Hall of Fame, I think is the greater disservice there. Um,
yeah,
but it's all having been to Cooperstown. I mean, I also would understand if they just say no, we're not doing that. But I will say, Casen, it's all the Baseball Writers Association, and the younger that the more people our age become those writers, you're going to start to see some of that stuff be like, okay, the old heads of baseball, like we adhere tradition, but like there's a lot of people our age, Casen, that are going to be like, okay, yeah, but they should be in the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
They're having the same conversation in the press boxes around baseball right now, you know. So, and eventually those people are going to have votes, right? So, uh, the last thing here, got to talk about this because there's been so much drama in the NBA over the last, quite frankly, week and change that I haven't paid as close attention to where things stand with the Stanley Cup. But I do know for a fact that Edmonton has your boys staring a series end in the face. And
Yeah.
the next game will actually be tonight. So by the time that this show goes out, that'll already be determined. So if there's anything you want to say about potentially the wrap up of the Vikings Vegas Golden Knights season, you can.
Yeah, well, before that, first, I would at least like to point out and acknowledge the game winner on Saturday with less than a second left.
Wild.
Absolutely insane. Uh, Still counts. I mean, we have that goal to thank as the reason we're not swept right now. But
Facts.
yeah, I think I think that we can win tonight, and then I think we lose in Edmonton.
Mm.
But it I don't know, maybe they're already on 1, 2, 3 Cancun. I don't know. I don't know what the vibe is in the locker room today. I don't know.
They're lining up the tee off time, man.
Yeah, I don't know if they are. I don't know if they're already shipping their clubs to Mexico. I don't really know, but um, it's as a fan, I would hope they are willing to at least push hard for one more game to try and get one more win. Um, but it's this it's I knew it. I mean, I knew when we were going to be facing the Oilers, I knew we were screwed.
You did say
I
that.
I said it. I when I saw the Cavs were playing the Pacers and when I saw that Vegas was playing the Oilers, I was like, okay, well they're both cooked.
Yeah, you
I mean, they're
declared
both
both teams
cooked.
cooked, like on the show.
I know my teams. I mean, I know
You
my
do.
teams. It's
It's
it,
also
it
it's also ironic that like maybe in the long run of your time, brief time now of a young franchise in the Vegas Golden Knights, you will think back to if McDavid is ever able to break through some of the great teams that you've had here over the course of this like last 2 or 3, 4 years stretch, kind of post pandemic time, has been synonymous with always meeting up with them in the playoffs some way somehow. Whether it's the first round, second round, it seems like the Knights and the Knights and Oilers are constantly playing each other. Two cities that could not be more different.
actually I not really. I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't really remember us playing the Oilers in the playoffs a ton.
It's
I
happened
mean,
twice in the last 3 or 4 years.
yeah, in the last couple of years, but like when I'm thinking of like our big rivalries in the playoffs. I mean, we've had some big series with the Kings, we've had some big series with the Sharks,
Yeah,
we've had some big series with the Jets, Wild. I mean, the Oilers are a little bit here and there, but it's
I don't
just
believe you played the Oilers the year you went on the Cup run. Correct?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. They were there, but
But
yeah,
I mean, when I'm thinking of the Oilers, I think of they always kill us in the regular season
yeah.
is like sort of the thing because a lot of times the Oilers lose before they even get to us or whatever because like that's the that has been the thing is that the Oilers should flame out. But I hated this matchup because I know that every regular season they beat us all the time. Like we get killed by them every single time we play.
Your squad just doesn't match up well
It's just
against
we
them.
do not match up well with them at
Yeah.
all ever. And so I know when I knew when we were playing it, I was like, this is not going to be good. And
Well, like you said, it took kind of a miracle finish for y'all to have the one win. So we'll see what happens. I do think that Dallas is going to finish off Winnipeg ultimately. I don't know if it's going to. I think it'll probably. I could see it being in 6 games, but also I could see that happening in 5. We will see. The best series so far out of this round has probably been Toronto and Florida. You still have Florida trying to be the two-time Cup defenders. I ultimately
yeah,
do not think that's going to happen. I think some way, somehow, that's not going to happen. But I got to say, this Leafs team is showing me that, like, I'm not going to say they're the real deal, but like, if you're telling me here in like a week, if they were to eliminate the defending cup title holders, I'm going to be sitting here saying, okay, the Toronto Maple Leafs might have something here, folks. But we're still 2 rounds away.
yeah. I mean, if they can get it done, I like their chances to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, I like their chances against Carolina for sure.
Me
Um,
too. And I don't think anything that Carolina's done with the Caps has been all that impressive. The Caps are old.
so I
I mean,
so I mean again, like we kind of said in the NBA, I think I think whoever wins the Panthers Maple Leafs is going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
okay. Okay.
I think winner of that series is going.
Right now, I have no idea in the West who it's going to be because I think I could see a great an Oilers Star series could go hard, and
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have no clue
no idea.
who would come out of that.
But I'm still not sitting here convinced. I will say one thing though. If it some way somehow ends up say Edmonton versus Toronto for the Stanley Cup Finals, that will be the most electric crowds and outside of stadium views maybe we've
Yeah,
ever seen in our
yeah.
lifetime.
I
Like
mean,
two massive Canadian
if
markets,
it is
yeah.
two Canadian teams with the guarantee of a Canadian team winning the cup, yeah, 100%.
Like it would be tremendously fun. Like as a hockey fan, like I almost really want to see that. Like I really want to see a Canadian team at least in the finals. If it's two Canadian teams, oh my goodness. Both with the aura and history of the Leafs with their guys and the Oilers with their guys and like the legacies on the line. It would be the coolest thing for Canada as a country right now.
Hmm.
So, and you know what? Maybe those folks deserve it, quite frankly. So, um, that being said, is it time to shift to some pop culture to finish things off today?
Sure, sure.
So, we're going to get to the Superman trailer, but I do want to briefly touch on the Ironheart trailer. Did you get a chance to see that today?
I did see it. Yeah.
I did too. I watched through it a couple times. Uh, I don't think it's fair to say that this is going to be a bit of a forgotten series, but I do think this is going to run right into the problem that a Miss Marvel did. Would you agree? Like a lot of people are going to be like, I can skip this. Like,
Yeah, I would agree with that, along with the fact of um it, it, it's also like completely disconnected from everything else that's going on right now.
right.
That I think that like we know that, and like we know that this show has nothing to do with continuing, like it's completely standalone as far as like relevancy, and so that's gonna hurt for sure people being interested in it.
And
And I think it's one of those
yeah,
things where they knew, probably 6, 7, 8 months ago that this was going to be a problem, but they have to release it. So they just you have to just put it out and see what happens.
they do. And I think right now, I mean, when this was being like straight up written, the old Marvel stuff was still with probably Kang the Conqueror and all that was
Yeah.
still in kind of, and I don't necessarily think there was going to be anything in this that was really going to have anything to do with that. But I keep thinking to myself, what's really going to be the outcome of this? it's going to establish Riri Williams as like a new Ironheart type hero. She's going to be like an established hero. And then she can join the young Avengers by name is probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be like the champions because in the comics that's what they're called. Everyone's already kind of talking about that. And in a world where again they only really have 2 to 3 or 4 established, if you want to count Wiccan like other people, like what's the outcome going to be? She's another potential member of them. That's it. I mean, I'm downplaying it, but you get what I mean. Like the
Yeah.
repercussions of this, I think, are going to be pretty low, relatively low stakes. It's not going to involve anyone we know. I can see maybe a cameo in there, but Riri Williams is a cool character. I liked her in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but at no point did I really think that I was like, I don't know if we necessarily need a series of that, but they're going to do one.
Yeah.
So vibes wise, I don't necessarily. There were times watching Miss Marvel where I was like, it feels like a Disney Channel show. Not the vibes I got from that trailer at all. I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure the one dude actually was in the original cast of Hamilton. The guy with the long hair. Pretty sure he played Lafayette. I might be wrong about that, but it looks like there could be some mystery in there and some cool things. And also, it'll give us new cool visuals of people who were big Iron Man fans. So be a little bit of that Iron Man aesthetic coming back, and we haven't had that in the MCU in a long time now.
Let me get here.
You getting the IMDb up?
I'm trying to pull up this here. Uh, well, it will be nice. I mean, it's an interesting cast for sure. Um,
Anthony Ramos, the Hood.
yes. Well,
Yep. He's in the
yeah,
original
yeah,
Hamilton cast. I was
yep,
right. Yep.
yep.
He played. Yep. He
He
plays
played
Lafayette, I
Philip.
believe.
Yeah.
Philippe Lafayette.
Um, Philip Hamilton. Yeah. So, and then, oh yeah, he's also in Heist. But yeah, so it's an interesting cast. I mean,
Also noteworthy. I didn't realize this. Sacha Baron Cohen is on here as Mephisto.
yeah, yeah,
What
we'll
that means,
see.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
but also Jim
I don't
Rash
know
is in
about
there
that.
too. Like it's got a lot of different actors who we haven't seen in the MCU at all before. So kind of cool a way for them to enter. Could go harder than expected. And of course Dominique Thorne plays the lead, Riri Williams. So
I'm trying to make sure because I don't. I thought it was in here, but it's not. Hang on a second.
sure.
It's I don't know why that's not.
We'll just say what you're
Yeah.
looking
Okay.
for.
Okay. Never
Yeah.
mind. But okay. So yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, it looks interesting. I mean, I will probably eventually see it. It's just
Me too.
they're gonna run into the issue of like, why is this relevant? Because it doesn't connect to anything, and so it is what it is. But they have to just kind of put it out. I mean, they can't Batgirl it. So
I will also say it is worthy to bring it up before because you brought it up before. It is the June Marvel project, which has not historic slash Disney Plus project. The June Disney Plus project historically has not been good. It is a time when a lot of things in summer are going on. If you're looking to watch something new, I think they just kind of it's a safe time to put that out. But between Secret Invasion, ultimately not very good. The Acolyte was a disaster, in my opinion. Not two different franchises, but you get what I mean. It's the June Disney Plus project that does not bode well for them releasing it then, and it's right in the middle of the new Avengers, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four. So it already has the kiss of death as far as
yeah,
what you've talked about in
yeah.
the past.
So I mean that's a really good point. So if you ever see a Disney Plus show announced it's coming out in June, just know that tells you what they think of that show.
Right. It's like the January window for movie releases. It's like, all right, let's just get it out. We need something to go on Disney Plus. It's like, okay, we need something to just go in theaters. Like, eh. So a time when a lot of people are out doing stuff, a lot of people aren't really home watching streaming stuff. You know what I mean? Not as
Yeah.
you know. Have they said anything as far as if it's going to be like episodic? Because it looks like there's 7 episodes. Are they dropping them all at once,
Um
or are they doing
yeah,
it?
let me. Let me see if it says.
I can't really find anything to say whether it was or not.
Jeez. It is. It's gonna schedule. It's gonna premiere on June 24th, with the first three of its six episodes. Um, yeah. So the first three are gonna drop on the 24th, and I think the next three probably the next week
Okay.
or weekly after that. I don't know, but it's half of it's gonna be out in the first day.
It's gonna be
I don't
so
know beyond
in
that.
that regard, it's gonna be sort of like Andor because it's been 3 weeks and Andor's already over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Case and I have discussed. We will probably be discussing Andor on this show at some point. Just
Yes.
maybe
I
not.
I I am caught up until the episodes that dropped last night. Watch that, and then we can talk about that.
I've seen the first like cluster, like the first
Yeah.
chapter. So, um,
So
uh,
we can once we're all done with it, or we're both done with it, we can have a
I,
big Andor conversation.
I think Case and I can say in one word though we both think it's fantastic so far. I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah,
first season was amazing. So I mean, all right. So anyway, we're gonna close it out here. The last little bit of the show we have the first like full story trailer for Superman 2025 released on Wednesday of this week. The day we're filming this episode, recording this episode. I have seen it quite a few times, and I watched a few of my favorite YouTubers react to it. I'd like to hear your take on it, bold faced. Go for it.
yeah. I mean, I think this is it does have a lot of different stuff than we haven't seen. Because the first handful of trailers, um, were kind of all the same footage, just sort of cut differently. And then there was an extended sneak peek that was attached to the I can't remember.
A few different
Um,
movies, really.
it was attached to a couple different movies. I
Thunderbolts
saw
was
it.
Thunderbolts was one of them, but it was in a few
Oh, I
other
saw it. I saw it when with Minecraft is what I saw it.
Minecraft. Yep, they
Yeah.
put it
So
on a few.
there's an extended sneak peek that was essentially like a whole scene, of when he's uh injured and he gets brought back to health with the sun. So
Yeah,
there's a whole scene there with that. But this had footage of him and Lois, and there's a lot more context to at least the tone of the movie. And I thought that was very interesting. And it provided a lot more insight into what the vibe of that movie is going to be.
I would agree. I think you saw a little bit of that James Gunn writing style, which is
Yeah.
all peppered through. Not going to go scene by scene, but I liked that conversation. I don't necessarily, I don't know if the necessarily it begins with Lois knowing that he's Superman. I doubt that that's the case. Or if
Yeah.
she does know, she's going to arrive to a place of, oh, this is out of a genuine place. He's actually just doing this out of the good of his heart, doing the right thing, good upbringing. Um, I did have it said to me today that they think that they're showing a little too much, and I pushed back with this person and I said, think of all of the Marvel trailers we've seen, Guardians of the Galaxy movies included, that are really long trailers and shows you like a third of what's in the movie. Like I think that's what's going on here. There's so much happening in it in terms of establishing the world that I'm not in any way worried about having us having seen the movie. If I watch it and that's what's happened, that's okay. But there's glimpses of other stuff and other scenes in there that I think are full scenes that we've seen none of.
I had that thought too of like, okay, yeah, like I feel like we've seen a lot, but we're seeing a lot of just character
Right.
development. Um, we what we haven't really seen is much of Lex. We don't really know the context of Lex and Superman's relationship. We don't really know what he's doing. So there is a whole they haven't really shown much of what the primary like conflict is.
There's
So
also
that is the that is the good thing is we don't really know there is a lot we know we don't
they
know.
also keep alluding to this massive cosmic threat that they have shown none of. There's
Yeah.
that whole scene where that thing's out behind where like Lois is hugging him and there's like something going on out in space. He literally at the end of the trailer flies into the sky and is shot back down just like the very first trailer they ever released of him flying out of the cosmos. Again, there's only a handful of things in the DC universe that can do that to Superman. Like they have shown none of what that bigger, badder threat is. And I really think that a lot of this movie could go away. I'm speculating, but maybe Lex and him have like an overarching thing going on. But like you said, the overarching conflict and whatever the big threat is, I don't think they've alluded to it at all. And I don't think anyone really has an idea about it because think about like how little of like the high evolutionary you saw in anything having to do with the plot when we were talking about Guardians 3. And yet
Yeah.
the tone of that trailer was heavy, but you didn't really know it was going to happen. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about that. I think James Gunn is cutting this exactly. He's doing this. I will say, go ahead, go
He's
ahead.
done this so many times,
Right.
and like he knows, he's aware.
Yeah.
Like I trust him to know how to cut a trailer to not give stuff away for sure.
I will say that it really seems on the internet today that a lot of people who have been skeptical, even up to this point, today was the first day, today, this week, Wednesday of this week, was the first time that I really had a lot of skeptics that I've seen across YouTube, across Twitter, across all these other places, like come around and say, okay, I'm like 100% on board now. Like, I needed a little bit more of the tone. I needed a little bit more of the characters, a little bit more of the colors. The visuals looked spectacular. Um,
Hmm.
it seems like the hype that I've had since this was first put on the drawing board in James Gunn's takeover of DC, it feels like somewhat the level of hype is rising with everyone else now too, and saying, "Oh
Yeah.
snap, this could actually be like the best superhero movie of the year." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah."
And what I will say too
Been saying this for two
is
years.
it'll be interesting to see how the DC fans sort of handle a James Gunn movie because
I agree.
like the Guardians movies are full of humor and jokes and stuff, and from what I saw in the sneak peek that was attached to the trailers for those movies, there's a lot of comedy in that.
Oh yeah,
And so I think I'm curious to see if the Snyder Cut fanboys are going to be okay with the Superman movie that's written by a 12-year-old. I mean, it's going to be funny how they handle that kind of MCU comedy
man,
like
yeah.
spliced into the DCU.
I agree with you, and I think that the Zack Snyder diehards are just going to have a hard time with this whole thing anyway, because
Yeah.
tonally it's just completely different, and many folks, including my own dad, who again was the biggest Superman fan I knew, uh, tonally were like, "Yeah, Man of Steel is not Superman. I'm sorry, like not everything has to be dark and gritty." And there was always this idea of, okay, so Dark Knight was popular, so now all the DC content has to be that level of dark. That's not Superman. It's not ever been Superman. It's been more like I really feel like Dave Cornswet could be like our version of the new Chris Reeves, and really just take it and make character. Another thing I gotta say, I think Nicholas Holt's going to be amazing. I really think that this could be
Hmm.
like a breakout, incredible Bond villain esque, scary role that he gets to play. Because I'm going to say something, and I don't want to insinuate too much. Superman is a hero that we need in 2025 because at a time when so many Lex Luthors in the real world are in power, quite frankly, we need someone like a Superman to aspire up to, someone to give hope. It's a cliche, but I really think that metaphor is valid with what he's going for. James Gunn all but said it himself. You know,
Hmm.
and maybe this is timely. Maybe it's the timely story we need. Um, and I think he's going to do a really good job of trying to be like, no, you don't understand. He's a threat because he's trying to make everyone else. He's like, everyone should look up to me. I'm the one everyone should look up to. And it's like, not this guy, not this alien, this guy who's not even from Earth. It's like, yeah, but he's a god trying to just do good. And everyone, and I can really see it being a story that develops of his motivation is going to be at the forefront of everything and we're going to be on his side the whole time and it's going to be all these other characters, Lois included, all realizing that as well, to where by the end it's going to be like, oh, Soups is our guy.
Hmm.
So I am curious to see if they establish how long he's been Superman, because I am really wondering that with these trailers.
Yeah.
Because the DC universe is sort of like the Marvel universe in that like heroes were already doing stuff like way back in the day, and heroes have been around. Like, how long has Clark been doing his thing? Cal been doing his thing as actual full on Superman. Like, how long has he been like working at the Daily Planet? Like, how long has he been Superman basically? Because I think some folks are going to be encountering Supes for the first time. It's just been like
Yeah,
maybe he's been Superman like a year and a half or something, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy in Metropolis. And then like a real threat shows up, and it's like, oh snap! Like, can't you see that happening with Hawk Girl and all them showing up? Like, I can.
yeah. I definitely could see it as like not an origin story, but like sort of midway to the actual like global coming out party, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
maybe even like a coming of age story, but like maybe for young adults kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like finding your own in your own place, but also it's sort of like they show up for the big threat, and it's like Superman can just take it out, and it's like, oh wow, this dude's powerful. I don't know how Mister Terrific plays a role either. He's just there doing stuff, raiding bases. Again, it's gonna
Yeah.
be cool, but I think there's gonna be a lot of world building in this movie too. So
Yeah. It's definitely, I think, going to do a lot of the groundwork for the direction that Gunn wants to take the whole universe.
cool. But all in all, would you say did it do anything for your hype levels? Or are you around the same as where you've been?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely probably elevated a little bit because it added some more context, and I'm, more excited to see it than I was before, for sure. But between that and the sneak peek that we saw,
Yeah, the sneak peek. I will say this. I think we're all gonna. You know who I think the scene stealer could really be, and it's not even a person. It's Crypto, the Superdog. I think
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think he could be awesome in this movie. I really
oh
think
yeah,
this is going to be just as much like a movie where he does a lot of cool stuff than ever. And it's not a spoiler; it's in the trailer when he just like not when they're in the Fortress of Solitude and the engineer is like doing stuff for the robots, and he just bomb dives her out of nowhere. I'm like, dude, this could go nuts because like you forget, Crypto also has the powers of Superman. Okay, you can't just roll up on his house and
yeah,
expect it to be okay. Like, I really think that in the movie could be a whole fight scene between those two, and Crypto just like takes them out. Like, I think that could be really cool. Or at least they're saying, "Oh snap, his dog's here and he's got the same powers." That's insane.
it
Like,
would be incredible to see him just do some awesome stuff.
and we know how much James Gunn's actual dog is like really important to him and like his companion, and he's been like the inspiration. So I'm like, he's gonna walk us out of here, and Crypto's gonna be like the coolest pet in all of superhero movies.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna be like, I just want to see Crypto again. Him and Superman, yeah, but Crypto's gonna be awesome. So, that's what we got, man. Any final thoughts for this week before we shove off here?
yeah. I mean, I guess I'll just add a little anecdote here.
Yeah,
We're through rookie minicamp with the NFL.
we are.
And I'll officially declare uh Team Shadur,
Mm.
Team Shadur.
Hey, I'm happy for.
I think I think that Shadur Sanders is going to be the week one starter.
I'm inclined to agree with you, and I think if it continues to progress well, it could be good. I think they got him some sleeper targets. I'm excited for Harold Fannin Jr. Luke Floria of Kent State also got picked up by the
Yeah.
Browns.
Yeah.
Obviously in our camp, a lot of people are excited for that as well. A local kid, local school, to local team. It's just a nice story. Hopefully makes the team, and we're rooting for him and everything. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've heard positive things as well about Shadur in the rookie camp there. So keep your eyes on it, Cleveland. Hey, Casen is.
Yeah.
By the way, that was a really sick watch you just held up. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very nice. I just got my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So
It's just my Apple Watch and a gold kit. Yeah. Band.
beautiful, blinging it up on our way out here. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening, watching. We will be back soon enough. We are in that period of time now. We've got cool things on the horizon. We are about a week away from Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, which comes out not
Mhm.
this Friday, but next week. So we'll get you our review for that in some way, shape, or form. There might be a show between then and now too. We'll see, but we're entering that period of time where you're definitely going to get a lot of our reviews. And quite
Got a lot
frankly,
of stuff coming out.
love this time of year just as much as I love talking ball with Casen and all our friends during the football and basketball and seasons and stuff. So, in that regard, this is Kellan,
This is Casen.
and we will see you as always at the next stop.